Put that coffee down.
I'm not here to waste your time, okay? I certainly hope you're not here to waste mine. So I'm gonna keep this short.
Helen, we're both in sales. Let me tell you why I suck as a salesman.
The most valuable commodity I know of is information. Wouldn't you agree?
Coffee's for closers only.
Well, hello there, friend. Welcome back to the Behind Your Back podcast with me, Bradley Hartmann, founder and CEO of the Behind Your Back Sales Company. In this podcast, we talk about leadership, personal productivity, time management, and the craft of selling in the construction industry. So last month in September, we were thrilled to host our second annual Sales Fundamentals Workshop. We had 75 sales professionals from manufacturing, distribution, LBM dealers, solely our industry, all fly in to Fort Worth for 2 days of a lot of fun, a lot of learning. We brought our best stuff that we consider our sales fundamentals. So what is involved in sales fundamentals? Well, it comes down to goal setting, it comes down to prospecting, pipeline management, and time management. Those are the four pillars that we built everything around. And not only was this a 2 days together, but this is actually a year-long training program that includes our book club. We send out 4 quarterly books that we then read and we talk about. And then, which we are doing now, the last Thursday of every month, we host a 30-minute monthly accountability call. We call it our MAC, monthly accountability call, where we all get together on Zoom. We talk about key issues. We break out into smaller segments in breakout rooms to get people talking about the challenges that we face every day, to hold each other accountable, to motivate each other. And because many of us know each other through this event, it's an opportunity to see a friendly face and talk about what's happening in different markets. Just let everyone know that, hey, selling isn't easy. And this is a way that we can all work together to help each other, to keep a positive frame of mind, despite all the crazy stuff that we're dealing with personally and professionally. Now, if you're thinking, wow, that sounds great, Hartmann, if only you would do that again. Well, great. We're not going to talk about it here, but we are doing it again next April. We're going to host our 3rd annual, and then our goal is every single April, we're going to continue to hold this as an annual event. So if you are interested, more information coming soon. And if you can't wait, you want to get on the cutting edge of this when we do sell out, because we will guaranteed sell out. We've already sold a little over about 36% of the seats that we are going to sell out for next April are already gone from folks that have attended this year and said, I'm in for sure. Invoice me. I want to make sure my seat's reserved. So we will sell out. We are going to sell out the remainder of these seats shortly after Halloween, before Thanksgiving here in a few weeks. Anyway, I give you this context, my friend, because at this event, yes, we're bringing our best stuff, the stuff that I've learned from working with thousands of different sales reps over the last decade. We're bringing our best stuff that's most impactful on the sales fundamentals. But we're also bringing our friends from the industry who are extremely smart and have insights to offer from a unique perspective. And with that, we're going to share some of the content that was delivered at our 2021 edition of the Sales Fundamentals Workshop when Mark Scherer, the COO of Scherer Bros Lumber Company, based in Brooklyn, not New York, Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. He came down, made time to share some insights of what owners and executives say or may not say behind the back of their sales people. And Mark is an owner in Scherer Bros Lumber Company. They've had the same commitment, the same values, and the same family since 1930, and they have 5 locations around Minneapolis and St. Paul. Now, Mark is very smart. He is very funny. He's a great guy to have around. That's why he was a perfect guest. And when he offered to come down and speak to this audience, and again, made up of manufacturers and distributors, but also LBM dealers there specifically, he was speaking to 4 of the really young, talented individuals on his sales team who work for him, speaking to them and giving them a unique perspective that is very candid, and he was very generous with his thoughts. If Mark Scherer, if you know him, great. If you do not know him, maybe you know him. He was a guest on episode 63. I went up when I was in Minneapolis and we sat down, spent some time together, learned a lot from him there. He was also on episode 132, joining John Vaughn of Brand Vaughn Lumber Company, now owned by US LBM, recent acquisition of July of this year, as we talked about Michael Jordan, The Bulls in the Last Dance. So that was episode 132. So we're going to give you some insights, some unique content from Mark Scherer here. If you like what you've heard, and you will, you're going to recommend this, you're going to share it with other people on your team. You can also go back to listen to either episode 63 or episode 132 if you didn't get quite enough of the Scherer factor. Now, Mark is a perfectionist. He wanted to make sure that I mentioned in the intro that he had a slight hiccup there. He had mentioned that what owners always want is high production, and what he meant to say was low maintenance. High production, low maintenance salespeople. And he actually said high maintenance, which, listen, I'm a sales guy too. I know I'm high maintenance, and I know if you're listening and you're a top producing salesperson, odds are you too are high maintenance. But what owners want, what everybody wants is high production and low maintenance sales professionals. Now, I told Mark, I know my audience. They're a generous listening group. They're going to understand. But he said, no. I wanted to make sure we got this down. Anyway, you are going to get a lot of value from this. Without further ado, please enjoy the keynote from Mr. Mark Scherer at the 2021 Sales Fundamentals Workshop held in Fort Worth.
All right.
Okay, Brad's ready.
So, how many folks yesterday were researching Mark Scherer? How do you pronounce it?
Share.
Anybody? Gotcha. This is Mark. He's here. Maddie, get it? He's like actually here. All right. So Mark and I were talking, and I would never say this to him directly because you'll get a sense of who he is during the subsequent miniature keynote that he's giving here. However, he's one of the smartest guys that I was able to work with. He's very funny. He's very smart. He's one of these guys, like a few that I kind of called out earlier, just kind of hanging around, listening to them talking about how you manage, how you lead, how you sell, understanding how human nature works. You just kind of pick up things like, that's smart. I should do that, right? And he offered to share some of his thoughts from an ownership perspective. He's the COO of Scherer Bros. 6 locations?
5.
You guys should expand. You should go to 6. I want to challenge you to that. 5 locations, as it turns out, in the great state of Minnesota. It's all right.
It's the okay state.
It's the okay state, in Minnesota, nonetheless. So he was going to talk about here was really, the book obviously is Behind Your Back. And my perspective was what, as a purchasing manager, what we said behind your back, both good and bad. And wanted Mark to share some context from an ownership standpoint that they might be saying behind your back that they'd want you to know to be better at your jobs and deliver more value. So, without further ado, Mr. Mark Scherer.
You know, Brad said I offered. I was more or less begged to come down here. So, and I had to pay for a $4 bottle of water this morning, so I'm unhappy. In the front row, who has an iPhone? Who can set a timer for 14 minutes right now with a loud ringer? Because I get 15 and Brad tells me I got a hard stop. So that way I don't have to do my best impersonation of Joe Biden. Little too early in the morning for that. Hey, Brad, where's my clicker? Can you add another 15 seconds on for me, please? I don't think you people realize how difficult it is for me to do a 15-minute presentation. 45 minutes, my eyes closed. 15 minutes, that's some work. So we're talking about your boss and what we say about you behind your back. The truth be told, and I hate to burst anybody's bubble, we say very little behind your back. In fact, if you work for a moderately decent company, which I'm assuming because your company's all sent you here, your boss has sent you here, that they're good people because they're investing in you. What you got to realize is that if they got something to say, they're going to say it to your face. Now, there are times where conversations are had about people in backdoor rooms, and we'll get to that a little bit. But I think it's important to put everything in context when you talk about the world of sales, what's being said about you. And I'm going to take this a little bit broader than just what your boss is going to say. So in my business, when I look at my company, this is what I see. The customers are the center of my universe. All employees, all functions, everything that we do as an organization supports those customers, and that's how we succeed. It's a pretty simple model. There is no drama in ownership. There's drama elsewhere, but we're happy when there's no drama. So this is the way a company should work. This is how I prefer to look at my organization. Brad, I'm locked up. Okay, good talk.
Round of applause, everyone. Thank you, Mark.
Hey!
You turned it off. Keep it on. There you go.
Thank you.
No more time. Just let it run. That's good.
I didn't know there was an on-off switch. What am I supposed to do? So, showed you how owners look at the business. Now, take a step back. Most of your coworkers see their business as intertwining, intersecting with everything else that takes care of the customers. And as a rule, and I'm going to be a little tough on you for a second, as a rule, everybody else in your business thinks you guys are all lone wolf McQuade, sitting out on the sidelines, doing your own thing, not team players, all the rest, because you're sales. That's not fair. Unfortunately, I think some of the most successful salespeople have propagated that general thought process. So your opportunity as you go through all this is to work through it, get together with others, and build a stronger business. So because of that, you have an attitude problem? No, you have a perception problem. The perception is real, and the perception is always going to be real, so you got to fight through whatever people are thinking about you. Now, this is how most salespeople do see the world. What I'm talking about is there's sales and there's everybody else. And ultimately, at the end of the day, the most important equation in all of this, and when you're in the sales world, is how does the customer see you? And at the end of the day, the customer looks at you, they look at your truck drivers, they look at your accounts payable, accounts receivable, purchasing people, whomever you're dealing with, you're all one company. And I bring this up for one very important reason. Nothing irritates me more when there's a problem and the customer goes to their salesperson, because that's the first line of defense, and the salesperson throws somebody else in their company under the bus. Oh, operations, they don't know what they're doing. Yeah, purchasing screwed that deal up. The computer systems don't work. IT, it's their problem. Don't do that. Because when you do that, then I start talking about you behind your back. Because now you're on my radar. And I see everything. I guess it's one thing I want to let everybody know. Okay, how many people think your bosses, the owners of your company, are relatively ignorant as to what you're doing on a day-to-day basis? Raise your hand. How many think they know what's going on? I generally tend to agree with the latter. I know what I'm told, I know what I see, but I hear things. I hear things from customers, I hear things from other employees, I hear things from your bosses, and you kind of put together this long-standing narrative. And what happens is you start hearing more and more things about certain people, and it's the types of things that you're hearing that one way or another are going to make a difference. There was a thing out there years ago called the crazy hot matrix. Mixed company, and I apologize for that. The same kind of applies for salespeople in very simple form. So ownership, management, leadership has very little to say about you when you are high maintenance and high volume. That's the big happy face down in the corner, that lower right quadrant. If you're producing and you're not causing a lot of trouble, if you're not making errors, you're not complaining, you're not a prima donna, you're not demanding the bigger contract, all the rest of that, we're happy, we love you. If you're not doing very much, if you're not contributing very much, but you ultimately require a lot of leadership time. And when I talk about leadership time, I'm not talking about development. I mean, we're here to make money. We're here to take care of our customers. We're here as a business to succeed. We want to invest in you. We're good at that. I mean, I got $12,000 in this room right now. It's a big deal. You guys having fun? I see Josh back there. Okay, good. The low end, and you know who these people are, right? Who are the people that make the most noise in your life? Who are the people that make your life difficult? Do you know people like this? Do you got them in your business? You know what I learned a long time ago? And we have it, Brad and I, we talked about this on our first podcast, I think. At Scherer Brothers, we have what we call the no asshole policy. And I hold very true to it. To where if you have somebody that doesn't understand our culture and our values and who's not a good person, I don't care how much they produce. If they're in that high maintenance, even high volume category, I don't want them around because they ruin it for everybody else. Any NFL fans here? Hey, it starts tonight, man. It's good. How many prima donna wide receivers have there been on teams over the years that end up destroying? It's all about them. It started back Chad Ochocinco and Michael Irvin and I don't know why. It's something about being wide receivers. Maybe they're the sales of the NFL, but they're high maintenance. And yeah, they score a lot of touchdowns and they're fast and they look good out there. But you know what? Teams are so happy when they get rid of them. Pittsburgh was ecstatic when Antonio Brown left. Anybody from Pittsburgh, by the way? Okay, back of the room. It's the same thing with companies. You change the dynamic immediately the second you take that bad attitude out of play. And I'm really trying to keep this as short as I can. When you think about any organization, and when I look at my company, and we talk about, okay, who is our star players? Who's the future of the business? That's you. That's what we want to talk about. We don't want to talk about who's not performing, doing all the rest. I leave that to my managers. And at the end of the day, if you are performing, if you're low maintenance, you're good attitude, you're going to get the big checks. You're going to have very satisfied customers. You're going to get the respect of your coworkers, and everybody's happy as compared to the other side of the coin. And at the end of the day, we all want everybody in the company to succeed, but I got to tell you, there comes a point where we get tired. Ownership, leadership, they get tired of supporting you if you're not learning from your mistakes, if your attitude isn't there, if you're not trying to evolve, develop, and get better at what you do. And that's when we're talking about you in a very, very, very bad way. Lastly, and I think this is incredibly important, it's obvious, and I run into this with my kids on a regular basis because all I want them to do is demonstrate a little bit of gratitude. We're happier when we express gratitude, when we say thank you, when we use our manners, when we recognize that our contributions are not possible without the efforts of other people. It's a little heavy for first thing in the morning, I get it. But at the same time, y'all know this. Remember that with your coworkers, especially when you become the top salespeople in your company, which you're all destined to do because you came to this event. Make sure you recognize that other people help you be good at what you do. Whether it's the purchasers, the guy building the loads in the yard, person making the deliveries, doing whatever. Hey, here's a big deal. And to kind of wrap things up, and I'm not going back up there, I'll tell you exactly what your bosses are saying about you right now. Good for you. You're here. Tell you what, you wouldn't be here if somebody didn't see potential in you. You wouldn't be here if somebody didn't see the value that they bring to their organization. Because that's what we do. In my job as Chief Operating Officer, I don't care about yesterday. I really don't. And today is okay. I'm looking 2, 3, 5, 20 years down the road. Who's carrying my business? How do I bring it to the next generation? You're those people. My dad told me when I was very, very young, never make a dollar until a sale is made. And that is very, very true. But also remember, you still got to have somebody to collect that bill and deliver the product and do the rest. I keep going back to that because we are part of an ecosystem, the circle of life Lion King thing. Just don't poop on everybody else. It's important. So thank you for your time. Glad to be here today. Brad, sorry, a couple minutes over.
As always, thank you for listening, and thanks for Mark Scherer for making time to put together his thoughts, traveling to Fort Worth, and being with the group. So many people mentioned they got so much value from him coming. If you're wondering, hey, I'm in for the 2022 edition of your Sales Fundamentals Workshop, Hartman. Is Mark Scherer going to be there? I can confirm nor deny. Anyway, he's a busy guy. Here's what I will say. Our goal here is to make this the best podcast you listen to. So if you got value from listening to this episode and insights from Mark Scherer, please share this with your team. Let them know it's available. And if you'd be so kind, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Those mean more to us than you know. And again, we want to make this the best podcast you listen to. So if you have any thoughts, ideas for future shows, any potential guests, or any builder customer issues that you are dealing with that are gnarly, that you're looking for some help, we would love sinking our teeth into that, giving you some unique perspective, maybe talking some actual builders themselves on how they might handle it. and offering advice to not only you, but the rest of our listenership. If you have these in mind, don't hesitate to email me directly at bradley@behindyourbacksales.com. Bradley@behindyourbacksales.com. And again, you can link up with me on LinkedIn and connect with me on Instagram at BehindYourBackCEO. So thanks again to Mark Scherer of Scherer Bros. We're going to close out like we always do with our leadership mantra. You, my friend, you are owed nothing. Deliver value first.